What is going on, everybody? So today we are going to be talking about how the Army Reserves has been handling battle assemblies or drills and annual training. So I haven't uploaded a normal video like this on the channel in a couple of weeks. If you guys have not really been paying attention to the channel, I just had my son born on July 4th. So if you didn't know that, we actually made it. He actually did. He was born on July 4th. I just did a quick little introductory video with him just the other day. So if you want to check that out. But during the past couple of weeks, after he was born, I had annual training. So if you guys didn't know, I'm in the Army Reserves, and you may be like, okay, how in the world did you do annual training when we got all these lockdowns and stuff in effect? Well, the Army Reserves has been doing all this stuff virtual. So I'm gonna kind of do my best to say what we've been doing, just to kind of let you guys know in case you're curious, if you want to watch one of my videos, if you're just like, man, Matt Ward hasn't uploaded a video in a while. Well, here you go. This is something to talk about what's been going on in the Army Reserves. Battle assemblies or drills, same thing, and annual training. What have we been doing? So ever since March, we haven't had a in-person drill. March was the last month that we had my in-person drill. I think literally like that weekend or the next weekend or something like that was whenever like the lockdowns and all the states started doing all their lockdowns. So in April we had virtual, May we had virtual, June we had virtual battle assembly, and in July, just now, we had a virtual annual training. Now annual training is usually 2 weeks long, and usually go to some base somewhere, sometimes away from wherever your normal unit is at. I don't want to really say station, because a lot of times Army Reserve units are kind of just like in the middle of nowhere, just like National Guard units. They're not really always located on military installations. They're kind of just scattered throughout everywhere. And from what I understand myself, I'm not speaking for the military or anything, but from what I understand is we are going to be continuing doing all this virtual training for the foreseeable future, for at least the next couple of months. I'm thinking personally probably till the end of the year, hopefully, or at least whenever things start kind of coming back down. With the Army kind of doing this, the Army kind of switching over to Microsoft Teams, which is what I'm going to talk about in this video, kind of how we've been doing all this, because we've been using Microsoft Teams. We're all kind of getting used to it. And so if anything kind of pops up in the future, another virus or something, or the same one, and it kind of just comes back again later next year or something like that, and we want to kind of lock down or whatever, the military is probably going to be locked down a little bit longer than some other places. But if this happens again, we kind of already have the plan. We already kind of know what we're going to do. So I honestly would expect this to kind of come up again. So if you're joining the military right now and you haven't gone to a drill yet, that doesn't mean that some of this stuff isn't going to apply to you, because at some point in the future, you're probably going to be doing what I'm talking about. So starting off with the virtual battle assembly. So what we've been using for battle assembly and annual training is Microsoft Teams. Now, originally in March, nobody in the world knew what Microsoft Teams, well, not nobody in the world, but I didn't know what Microsoft Teams was, and I'm a tech person. I maybe have seen it before, but I didn't really know. But the Army has chosen Microsoft Teams. It's kind of like a mix between Dropbox, like Google Hangouts, the Google Drive, and like a chat thing all together, right? And honestly, it's actually pretty nice. And I'm kind of really happy that we did this, because as a leader, a lot of times you're just having to submit documents. You're just having to submit things. You're having to collect the proper certificates. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Certificates from the people below you, and then you're trying to collect those and then submit them to higher. And before, really the only way that the Army did that was through the secure email that the Army uses. And it's really kind of a pain in the butt. It's a pain in the butt to get into that email. It's kind of a pain in the butt because some people can't get into it on certain computers. So the Microsoft Teams has made that a lot easier for talking to people, for submitting documents, for calling people, because it's, like I said, it's kind of like the Google Hangouts thing. Once you add everybody to the Teams, everybody's there. And so if you want to talk to somebody, you kind of just search their name, and as long as they've been signed up on Teams, they're going to be there. So you could video chat them, you could call them, you could screen share with them, you could send them documents if you need to send them documents. So it's been really nice. Now, using Microsoft Teams, what we've been doing, and what a lot of other units have been doing, is a variation of things. You could be everybody be logging on and doing some kind of screen share PowerPoint presentation, or somebody actually briefing talking about a specific topic, doing some kind of training virtually, like a virtual classroom. We've been doing that. I know other units have been doing that. And then also the Army Reserves, one of the things that we do is we still do track PT. So basically the only way to really do that is by basically sending screenshots of like your Apple Watch. So like, okay, you just went out for a run for today and you're supposed to do PT today. So send us a screenshot of what you did on your phone. I mean, obviously there's a way to get around it, but there's not a way to get around doing PT virtually and checking in on people. But essentially we are keeping track of that. I've heard of people doing like chat sessions, video chat sessions, where people kind of set up their phone and they do PT like in their uniform, and they kind of set up in their garage or in their living room or something, and they go through the whole thing, but together as a team. I've seen that happen, so it could really happen all kinds of different ways. PT tracking is a thing. We're still going through all the different trainings that you're supposed to do, that's just like a normal training, like SHARP, EO, different classes that the Army has to do on an annual basis. And then when it comes to training actual troops, because that's what we have to do, we have to train our troops, we have to train our soldiers, but we can't do it in person. So the only way really to do that is by watching like tutorial videos, by going through online courses. So pretty much across the board, that is what you're gonna be doing. You might be doing some training exercises, but on a battle assembly day, it's just 2 days. There's not gonna be all that much that you can get done. Now, coming to annual training, which is what we just accomplished, it is everything that you do during battle assembly. It's all the same thing. But now that you have 2 weeks, you can actually get a lot more done. So what we did, and what other units might do on their annual training, is do like an extended FTX but virtual. What we did is we went through essentially a deployment scenario. So my unit is a civil affairs unit. I'm not going to say specifically which one, but as a staff position myself, an S6 staff position, we went through the military decision making process scenario, which is where we as a staff receive the mission from higher, which would be theoretically a brigade. They give us a mission and we go through a decision making process and publish an operations order to send down to the companies. So we went through that whole training scenario. It took a little bit over a week of the 2 weeks, and that was actually really nice. It was really beneficial for me, myself, for the other staff members, kind of going through this like mock virtual deployment, and it was a good way for us to stay engaged. Now for the enlisted soldiers, if you were an enlisted person on a team, they kind of went through the same thing, but after they got the op order, the companies did their own thing. I'm not specifically sure what the companies did, but they did what the companies do. I'm not in a company, I'm a staff position. So my section, I had them go through a Security Plus course, which is related to my section since we're all Signal soldiers, and Security Plus is really, really important when it comes to Signal. So if you're going to like 25 Bravo or 25 Uniform AIT, then get Security Plus. That would be freaking awesome. So that's basically it for what we have done, what the Army is doing as a whole. We're still doing PT. We're still doing training as much as we can during the whole virtual process. We can't do much hands-on training. We did have some soldiers during the annual training thing go into the unit because the AGR, the active reserve guys, are still at the facility, and we had like limited numbers of people. I think we could only have like 2 people per section go in a day. So we're still kind of doing a little bit of in-person, like they conducted an actual in-person PT test over the annual training. So there's gonna be a little bit of that stuff, but there's really not gonna be any like mass normal, the way it used to be, everybody in the battalion comes to drill. That's not gonna happen for at least the next few months. So I mean, there is some pros to this, and obviously there's some cons, being that we can't actually have any face-to-face, in-person, hands-on training, which will be most beneficial. But the pros are, we are still getting some actual, like for my section, online courses done that we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. We're also kind of now hopefully going to be using Microsoft Teams in the future as a battalion, and using that as a way to communicate better, because definitely I would say that the communication for this annual training is a lot better than normal, because normal, you just got people kind of running around, you're looking for people, and with this, with the annual training, or with your battle assemblies, like I said, it's kind of like Google Hangouts. If you need to talk to somebody, like everybody's there. And a lot of times, like if you like are a lower enlisted soldier, and you're like, hey, I need to talk to this NCO, I need to talk to this officer, and you don't have their contact information. You have to kind of go around looking for them, or you have to go to their office. Maybe they're not in their office. But with the virtual, you basically send them a message on Microsoft Teams and boom, you got in contact with them, or you use your chain of command, however your unit is doing it. But anyways, it's been very interesting. It has been very interesting the past several months, actually. This is just, one of those once in a lifetime events that nobody ever think is gonna happen. But the Army, I think, has adapted pretty well to this. And I think during the several month gap that we're gonna have, having not been in person and having to do all this stuff virtual, I don't think we're really gonna lose much sharpness, if any at all, if not gain some from the training that we've conducted during the virtual battle assemblies and the virtual annual training. So I know it's a kind of weird random video, but there you have it. That is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. That'd be awesome. If you check out some more of my videos, hit the subscribe button. That would be even better. Follow me on Instagram and Snapchat if you haven't already. I hope you guys have an amazing and safe freaking day, and I'll see y'all later.